Highlights from round 3 of the WTCR trophy takes us to the Daytona International Speedway, where Farkash would start from pole position, pop off straight down behind from the front row of the grid to get into the slipstream with the big Renault ahead, and then the big battle pack behind. Dinez hanging on to third spot. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, there were a couple of calamitous affairs coming down to the first corner, as you'd expect at Daytona. The tightening nature of the corner causing a few issues for those in the mid-pack and those further down. Pazemko were having issues with Foster in the early stages of the race, who would be down the inside coming into the International Horseshoe, up to the West Horseshoe, and Pazemko was straight back down the inside. All the battle for 5th position opened the door for Sebastian Ray to get himself involved. Meanwhile, these two would remain side by side out towards NASCAR 1. It was Foster on the outside. He'd lose out the spot and then would come down across the nose of Christian Orban, the two of them being sent over the apron and then rejoining just onto the track. They'd be slow though, and Foster would feel that immediately as Polgar would come straight through to the inside, but had to lift out ever so slightly, and a good exit from that chicane meant that Foster was picking up a position already on field shifter as he was moving his way back up the order. Up to the battle for the race lead though, and Dinez was trying to find his way up into second spot. An unfortunate disconnection though for our race leader in Farkash would give over the race lead to Popov coming down to the first corner, but it would be a distraction for the pair of them. Popov's race lead would not last long, because straight down the inside with a little bit of contact, and that was Dinez taking over the race lead. Stanstrom would almost come through, however he would go back to third position as Popov will come up into second. There were two battle packs up towards the top, first through third, and then this one fourth through sixth. Pazemko in a little bit too deep, and Sebastian Ray almost coming through. Balashnoj nearly fancied his opportunity as well as to get to the outside on the exit of the bus stop, however it would be too slow on the exit. Race lead switch once again out a little bit too deep. Dinez would open up the opportunity for Popov to come through, and then Balashnoj would try and take over 5th position. However, it would end up becoming 4th after Pazemko was out a little bit wide. Sebastian Ray losing out a couple positions, and that was Balashnoj getting his way up through into 4th spot. Bit of brush between Pazemko and Ray as they were coming through the kink up towards the West Horseshoe. Sebastian Ray with the inside line, the battle for 5th position, as also Foster was joining the fight. Popov was able to clear away a little bit from this gaggle as they ended up fighting a little bit too hard, but once they started working back together again, they would close their way back down to the race lead. But Balashnoj was trying to take over third, and with a bit of a mistake from Sandstrom, third would go the way of the Hungarian. This battle would continue though. Pazemko versus Fosto. Fosto getting through on this occasion with the inside move down into the bus stop. Meanwhile, Cherminando was out a little bit wide whilst trying to attack just on the back end of the top 10. Christian Orban feeling the pressure, and it was Cherminando out wide. Speaking of feeling the pressure, Popov had been caught. Dinez had gone one way. Meanwhile, Balashnoj had gone the other. Below the double yellow, absolutely fine in this style of racing, but a little bit of contact coming up towards the first corner, and it was Dinez that would feel the pressure, feel the pinch, and he'd be sent out wide whilst attacking for the race lead, and he'd drop right the way down the order. We can see it on board with Sandstrom, one out wide. Popov also losing out just a bit, but he'd come back in and would be on this battle in no time, as we can see Sandstrom running out a little bit wide and Popov coming straight back through. That the battle for third, and back to the battle between Pazemko and Fosto. This time it was Pazemko potentially coming out on top. However, he'd have the inside line up towards the kink, a bit of contact between the two as Fosto would come across, and Pazemko would once again lose out in the battle. Balashnoj then the race leader at this point. Popov and Sebastian Ray would have a bit of a 3-wide duel off the International Horseshoe. Sebastian Ray trying to take over the race lead, but with another wide exit from Balashnoj that would cost him the race lead. On board with Sebastian Ray on the exit of the bus stop. He had an incredible overspeed, absolutely nailed that section of the track, and would make it 3 wide coming out of NASCAR 3 and 4. He'd get past Popov quite easily, but Balashnoj wouldn't be quite so easy. You have to send it around the outside of the first corner, which Sebastian Ray would do successfully to take over the race lead. The next lap, Popov was trying to attack for it once again, but he'd be out too wide and would drop the couple of positions down to 4th outside of the podium spot. But late in the race, unfortunately, Sandstrom would have a bit of a technical issue on his end and would unfortunately drop out of that podium battle, out of the battle for the race victory. He'd still managed to keep going once he'd had his problems rectified, but unfortunately would not be a part of this fight up towards the line. Balashnoj would get to the outside of Sebastian Ray. Ray would go below the double yellow, and up towards the line, it would be Sebastian Ray just about.